Shalom. Call Halayim La Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bashem, Kakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone who rule and teach well. And sincere Shalom's 144,001 Now, this is, a reminder that Babylon the Great will be invaded by China, Russia, the Elamites, the Ishmaelites, so-called Arabs, so-called Iranians, right? So-called Russians. They will invade this place. And China, let it be known to the world that they're simulating a Caribbean war scenario. And who's this against? The U.S. So I'm going to play the whole video and then dive into some scriptures along the way. Fair use, fair use.
All right, guys, we got some moves being made here by China that's catching the attention of the U.S. military. They say that they're running simulation now on trying to run up into Cuba and the surrounding areas. And this is all in response to Trump's gunboat diplomacy, so to speak. Trump is now seizing vessels and holding the oil. They've blocked off this whole region. A lot of that oil is going to China, or was supposed to, China and Iran. So now, they've been caught.
And guess what? The U.S. now has Venezuelan oil, right? And the U.S. caused that Strait of Hormuz situation. Of course, Babylon the Great as a whole, or I should say the Edomite Empire, not Babylon the Great, because what truly caused the Strait of Hormuz to face such damage, the beginning of it, was when the U.K. canceled insurance for the oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz.
Simulating this war scenario where China rolls up on Cuba and Mexico. And most of the time, this is rare. You don't get a chance to ever see or hear of any of this type of war gaming, so to speak. But they showed this on their national television, and some think that it's an ominous sign, like a warning to Trump, that Xi Jinping and the Chinese are extremely ticked off.
Now, a couple years ago, there was Chinese military in Mexico. Now, Mexico, from the looks of it, they're tapped in with the small hats to some degree, right? But China has made splashes with the cartel. So you never know. The Mexico could very well harbor troops for Russia and China as they invade and attack the U.S. This is Obadiah 1:6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy, right? Mexico, Canada, the Middle East, right? China. Of course, Mexico is pretty much run by Edomites and China. But the main target is going to be Babylon the Great. And our land, the small hats over there, the tiny tops. Verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So this is going to happen to all Edomites, right? Because it's Esau. It's not just Babylon the Great. There's Edomites everywhere. Russia. This is going to happen to Russia. This applies to Russia. This applies to Edomites that's ruling in Latin America. Because a lot of people down there are really Edomites. Because when Spain, Christopher Columbus and the Spanish, what they did in Latin America wasn't the same as what the French and the English did in North America, if you will. The U.S., Canada. In the U.S. and in Canada, it was more so, okay, we're going to come in, bring our families, take some land, do our thing, right? Make a village, build up. In Latin America, they was just sexually assaulting. You know, it was very savage. You know, it was very military esque. Wasn't a lot. They weren't bringing their families. You know, for quite a while. It was more so just men exploring being wicked. All right, that's why it was a lot of sexual assault, graping going on. You know, so a lot of why do you think the Northern Kingdom, if you will, right? They're not very dark anymore. Because if you look at Jake in Latin America that's not mixed with Esau, they look just like, Judah, Benjamin, Levi. They look almost identical. The only difference would be like the hair. Their hair is a little bit more loose, but their skin tone and their facial features, because they're Israelites, Jake wasn't walking around all pale, looking like Esau in the ancient world as a collective, like what you somewhat see in Latin America now, right? So Edomites ruling all throughout Latin America. They gonna get cooked. They making alliances with China, right? They gonna get cooked. Who else? You got the dragons of Arabia, right? And the Carmenians. That's the quote unquote Middle East, Western Asia. So Esau's in trouble. Esau is in trouble. All the I'm gonna reread verse 7 again. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. So they gonna sniff Esau out. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, all right, so they breaking bread with you, they making money with you, right? They doing dirt with you, have laid a wound under thee. Yeah, under thee. Because, a lot of animals, their vulnerable part is under their bodies. The soft white belly. Like a crocodile is very vulnerable under their body. The top of a crocodile is very armored, but the bottom of them is very, very soft. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So guess what? Esau's cooked. These Edomites, particularly Babylon the Great, you're going to have a rude awakening.
Now, in this whole simulation, there's a red team and a blue team. The red team representing China, the blue team, the enemy, or in this case, the United States. And it says that the blue side congregated near Houston, Texas, and then they headed down southeast into the Gulf of Mexico, while the red side was seen in the Caribbean, making moves up on Cuba and swooping in also on Mexico. So this is very interesting here that they're wargaming, simulating a war in the Caribbean. Now, I want to remind everybody, if you missed the live show, we discovered that off the Rothschild Economist magazine cover for warnings going into 2026, they show a boat, a container ship boat that has missiles coming out of it, and it's shooting America on its 250th birthday, and that boat gets hit by a satellite from space. Well,
hold on. Let's play that back a little bit.
Simulating a war in the Caribbean. Now, I want to remind everybody, if you missed the live show, we discovered that off the Rothschild Economist magazine cover for warnings going into 2026, they show a boat, a container ship boat that has missiles coming out of it, and it's shooting America on its 250th birthday, and that boat gets hit by a satellite from space. Well,
hey, guess what? Esau got technology like that. They got satellites and things like that in space, if you will, that can pinpoint, launch, do direct energy weapons. They show you that in type in Omni-Man, Invincible TV show. Omni, like OMNI, and then man gets hit with laser, space laser. That Esau got that. Esau got that technology. And he got other things too. And guess who else got that technology? Russia, China, right? I mean, Russia are Edomites, so. But China got it too. Moab, the washpot over Edom. There you go. This is Ezekiel 38 and verse 10. Thus said Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at that same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. And that's talking about Babylon the Great. This place is going to be invaded by Russia and everybody that's aligned with Russia. The Carmenians, Gomer, Moab. And this is the war game of it. They're planning. They're not just gonna come up from the south. They're gonna come down from the north. They're gonna hit. They're primarily, just using logic. They're gonna hit Babylon. Outside of the nukes, just soldiers and other weapons. They're gonna hit from the west coast and the south, which you see on the screen. They're gonna hit here and the west coast primarily because that's the closest part of the U.S. to Russia and China. And then you may see some action on the east coast, but mostly the south and the west coast when things start heating up. So let's finish this video off. I'm going to rewind to just 10 seconds.
A container ship boat that has missiles coming out of it, and it's shooting America on its 250th birthday, and that boat gets hit by a satellite from space. Well, China just unveiled a cargo ship that converts into a concealable missile destroyer. And there it is, right there.
And guess what's been going on? Strait of Hormuz blockage. That's something to do with ships, right? Let's play that back just a little bit.
A container ship boat that has missiles coming out of it, and it's shooting America on its 250th birthday, and that boat gets hit by a satellite from space. Well, China just unveiled a cargo ship that converts into a concealable missile destroyer. And there it is, right there. You can see it right here. How convenient. So these are things popping off with this massive simulation going down surrounding the Caribbean. And
it's heating up. Joel chapter 3 and verse 8. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Cargo ship, that's a plowshare, right? You use that to make money off of crops, off of minerals from the earth, right? What does a plowshare do? Same thing. Beat your plowshares into swords. Yeah, they just turned the cargo ship into a missile destroyer. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. There you go. There you go.
At some point, it seems at any moment, things are going to pop off on this war front. And it brings it right up to our doorstep. I'll leave a link. Join me for the live streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday where I talk about this in greater detail. It's been Dabu7. Much love.
So guess what? Things are going to keep heating up. Of course, it's not going to... let's get a scripture. This is 2 Ezra 16 and 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when a child come forth, they slack not a moment. So there you go. Things are just going to pop off. Boom, 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 boom. Just going to pop off. Things are going to happen that never happened before. And guess what? The elect wins. All right, Yahushua on down wins. not the Edomites, not, Jake. A lot of Jakes, a lot of heathen. They're like, oh, China's up next. They got the military, they got the technology, they got the infrastructure, they got no, right? Because these people don't have faith in the scriptures. These same people, all right, still have that plantation Christianity, right? So they're through. They don't believe that the so-called black, Hispanic, Native American, especially so-called blacks, are the children of the Lord. They don't believe that. Oh, what, the Messiah was so-called black? They say you need to go in a mental institution if you say that, man. That's the last thing they want. And I'm talking about Esau. All right? But guess what? All these things are happening in his prophecy, and Jake's going to get turned up. All right? It's just a matter of time till the elect get turned up. And with that, shalom.